welcome to the Art of Being Human. On the last segment, the last 2 or 3 segments, we've been dealing with different types of emotions and what they do to you, how you feel, how you handle the emotions, what they mean. And I'm going to go through a little bit of that as a review, and then I want to go on from there. I'll be talking about personality and what it really is, self-concept and what that really is, handling disappointments, because I think a lot of our emotional trauma comes from the fact that we are disappointed in a lot of things and we don't know how to handle it. So I want to go into that. And then after that, I'm going to go into the emotions individual: fear, anger, anxiety, depression, grief, all of these different kinds of emotions. And of course, we don't need to neglect things like joy, happiness, and things which are, I hope, more basic to the personality. So we'll be doing all of that. But let me review, first of all, some of the things I've said about emotions. This will be just a short review, and then I want to get into personality. Now, we know that everybody has emotions. They are going to come, they are going to go. They're not your character. You don't have to define your character according to the emotions that you're feeling, because emotions are transitory. They do come and go, but they're not bad and they're not good. They just are, and you need to define them as emotions which come and go. They're not your basic personality structure, but nonetheless we all feel them. So they're not bad, they're not good. We just have to know how to handle them. Some are healthier than others, some are easier to handle than others, but we all have emotions. And the problem with some people is that they try to stop the emotions. They try to tell themselves they're not having emotions. They're not going to allow themselves to have emotions because it's troubling to them. And whenever you try to stop something like emotions, what's actually going to happen is that you're going to find yourself getting them even more intensely because they want to be recognized. If you are in an emotional state, it needs to be recognized. You need to be able to say, this is how I'm feeling. Today I'm angry. Today I'm sad. Today I'm joyous. You will find that if you will acknowledge those emotions, that you will find that they will not be as intense. And especially the more negative emotions such as fear, anxiety, anger, and so forth, they're less intense if you acknowledge them. So we do have them. We all have them. We need to know what to do about them. They're not the same as your basic character. When you get through with your emotions, when they change, you go back to the basic character that you were. We'll get into the character, but that is like your disposition. Are you high-strung? Are you calm? Are you just very fidgety? Are you a kind of person that wants to push ahead all the time? Are you forceful? Are you assertive? Are you aggressive? These kinds of things that are true for your personality, you will go back to once the emotional state that you're in is finished. However, if you're in an emotional state for a long time, for a longer part of being during your day than you usually are, if you are angry for a longer period of time than you usually are, that emotion can become a state of being because you're in it for so long. Nonetheless, after it's done, you go back to being what your basic disposition is. So for a temporary period of time, you can have a certain emotion, and it can actually be what your being is like. So we have a tendency, however, to believe that our emotions are our true selves, and that's not the case. You can be happy, sad, angry, joyous, all in the same day. Your emotions can change almost from minute to minute, so they're transitory. They come and go. They're not a part of your basic character. However, they feel like they're a part of your basic character for as long as you are in them. And you can be in them for a substantial period of time if you suffered a loss, if you're angry about something on a long-standing basis. So we have to consider that that is a part of you, but not a permanent part of you. But believing what your emotions say about you can make you very unstable, because if you judge yourself according to how you're feeling, then you judge yourself every moment of the day a little differently. If I'm angry in the morning and then I feel that that's my character, I have an angry character, but by noon I'm feeling fine, whatever I was upset about was resolved, then I think that my character is the calm one. Well, what happens is that you don't know who you are after a while. You are defining yourself according to your temporary emotions, and that's not a good thing to do because it's not who you are. You need to know who you are. You need to know that the emotions interact with who you are, and you deal with them, but then they go on, and then you go back to who you are. So emotions, however, if you're in them for a long time, can be like a state of being to you. And because of the fact that you are entrenched with them, that you're in them for a long period of time. So I want to go on from here in terms of personality. What is personality? Is personality your basic character, or is it a lot more than that? If you read various books, you get various ideas as to what personality is. So I want to give you my own definition of what personality is. Personality, from my point of view, is the total sum of you. It's your total being, everything about you. That would include your character and your disposition, of course, but it also includes the way you relate to other people. It includes everything you think and everything you feel, your interest, your desires, your talents, your abilities, your physical appearance, the things that are important to you, your political beliefs, your faith. Anything that's important to you becomes a part of your personality, because if anyone is to know you, and they're to know you thoroughly, they will know all of these things about you. What your preferences are, what do you prefer in music, what kind of games do you like to play, what do you look like, are you blonde or brunette? Do you have blue eyes or brown eyes? Are you a Republican or a Democrat? Are you a person who is nervous and anxious? Are you a person that's very calm? Are you a person that doesn't get bent out of shape very easily? Or do you have like a trigger hair temper, so that if anyone says the wrong thing, you're up in arms about it? All of these things form your personality. Your personality is your total being. Everything that you are is involved with your personality. Now, when people get to know you, they'll say you have a joyous personality, you're happy-go-lucky, you're kind of wired, you know, you're hardwired, you're anxious, you're nervous, you're depressed, and they will get to know you according to your personality characteristics. But they'll also know you for other things. They'll know you for what do you like to watch on television, or do you watch television at all? What do you like to listen to on the radio, or do you never touch a radio? You know, everything about you becomes a part of your personality. And when we get to know people, we try to get to know everything about them. If we want to have them as friends, we want to know what their likes are, what their dislikes are, what their personal preferences are in terms of anything that they're involved with. If they play golf every Saturday morning, or if they go to bridge every Wednesday afternoon, we get to know them in accordance to the people that they choose for friends, anything about them. So personality is a very, very broad spectrum and includes everything about you. And so when we hear people say somebody has a good personality, or they don't have a good personality, or I've even heard people say, this person has no personality. Well, we all have a personality because we are all a conglomerate of all the things about us. So everybody has a personality. You can't define a person as having a good or a bad personality. When you're talking about a person that has a good personality, you're talking about a person who's friendly, who's outgoing, who likes people, who likes to make friends, and of course that's very attractive to you, and you'd like to have that kind of a person as your friend. If you're talking about a person that's a negative personality, you're probably talking about a person that isn't very calm, is angry a lot, a person who is apt to just kind of make angry remarks at you, start fights with you. If they don't like what you're saying, they're on top of you about it, they're complaining about you, and so you say this person has a negative personality. What they have are characteristics in their personality that define them, but that people don't like to relate to. So if you have a good personality, you're friendly and outgoing. If you have a bad or a poor personality, you're not outgoing. You don't want to reach out to others. You're not kind to others. You may be selfish. You may be rude. You may not be able to relate to other people. Now, all of those things are important because they define you. So you have to decide, what kind of a person do you want to be? Do you want to be a person that's liked? Do you want to be a person that others can go to? I know I have all kinds of people that come to me for help, and I'm no longer counseling. I'm supposedly retired, but I still have a lot of people come to me when they need to have help. And I try to help them as much as I can. But I'm not technically not counseling anymore, but you'd never know it from the people that come to me. Or technically I'm not teaching, I'm retired, but I teach all the time. I do Bible studies, I do courses, I do television work. And so basically I'm doing all those things that people know me for, even though supposedly I'm retired. So what you know about a person is what you know that you can relate to, or what you know that you don't want to relate to. If a person is kind and loving and compassionate, that's the kind of person that wants to relate to you, if that's the kind of person that you are. There are some people who want to shove people away. They don't want to have relationships with people. So what they usually do is they try to get people angry at them. If they can get people angry at them, then they can back off. And they can say, well, they don't want to be friends with me anymore. I can't help it. For some reason, they have backed off from me. But actually, they have instigated that so that they would be backed off from, so they wouldn't have to deal with people. Some people like to be loners. They like to be alone. Other people like to have people with them. They don't like to be alone. I know sometimes I'll watch television with a person just because that person doesn't want to be alone. Or sometimes I'll do something with other people just because they need to have some company. So what defines you as a personality? It might be helpful for you to think about your characteristics and think about what it is that defines you. That's the thing that people consider to be your personality. Do they define you because they think that you're a good person and a helpful person? Then that's what they think of you as, and that's what they claim that your personality is, a helpful kind of person, a person that you like to be with. But if you're a person that doesn't want to be with people, you go to your apartment, you shut your door, you lock your door, you don't answer your phone, and all of that kind of thing, then people will want to stay away from you because you're not a person that they can relate with. You know, it's an interesting thing about people. They want to like people. People want to like other people, as a general rule. Now, I've met some people that don't. I had somebody tell me once, if I could get away with murder, there are people that I would kill. And the person meant it. And I thought, well, this isn't a person you would want to relate to. This isn't a person you would even try to have as a friend. So you need to sit down and think about, what are the characteristics that people think about you? What is it about you that people relate to? And just for the fun of it, you might want to ask. You might want to say, well, now we've known each other for a while. How do you think about me? Excuse me, it's allergy season. What is it about me that you like? What is it about me that you don't like? And let them be honest with you, and let them tell you what they see in you. And you will get to understand yourself as other people see you. I think it would be an advantage in terms of mental health to have people tell you what they see in you, not because you're trying to pump yourself up, but just because you want to know how people view you. What do they see in you when they see you? Is it somebody that they can relate to? Do you want to relate to people? And if you want to relate to people, what is there about you that they can relate to and feel comfortable with? Or are you a kind of person that people find it difficult to relate to because you're always angry, you're always pitching a fit about something? So we are now talking about personality, but we're also talking about the concepts that you have about yourself. So I'm going to, and I'm only going to start, well, there's one more thing I want to talk about. There are some theories of personality that are based upon physical type. And for example, if you're tall and thin, you're nervous. If you are short and more heavy, and I'm not saying obese, but you're short but you're more heavy set, then you're more laid back. There are some personality theories that are based upon body types, that if you are a certain type in terms of your physique, height, weight, and so forth, that you will have a certain personality that will be typical of people that are like yourself, that have a certain height and weight. Now, I don't go along with any of these theories. I don't think they're accurate. I don't think they're valid. I don't think that you can trust them, but I know some of these theories are popular and they sell books on them, and then they have self-tests that you can take to identify what kind of a personality you are, and they're all named like the mesomorph and the ectomorph and so forth. They have names for these personalities, and that if you're tall and you're thin, you happen to be more nervous, more wiry, and so forth. But I don't subscribe to it. I know a lot of people do subscribe to it, and it's kind of fun to study, and they read these books, but I don't know, except for one person, I don't know of any professional person that uses any of these tests or any of these theories for diagnostic purposes. I knew one counselor who, in terms of diagnosing a person, would have them take tests to show what kind of body type they are and what kind of personality they are. I think it's foolishness. And the reason I think it's foolishness is that it doesn't explain a lot of what's going on in your personality. It doesn't explain what's happening with your hormones. Are they in or out of balance? What's happening with your brain chemistry? Is your brain chemistry normal, or is it off for some reason, so you're suffering the effects of that? Are you depressed because there's something wrong with the biochemistry of the brain? Are you depressed because something's happened to you? You've lost your job, you've lost your house, somebody's moved away, somebody's died. There are just so many things that happen to us as human beings that to relate the personality to a specific body type, I consider to be very, very inaccurate. Of all the counselors that I have seen and that I've worked with, and the psychiatrists that I've worked with, I've only met one person that ever does anything with these theories. They just don't, because they don't consider them valid, and they don't consider them accurate, and there are just too many mitigating factors that can happen to you that will change the way you feel, sometimes on a permanent basis, that have nothing to do with your physical height or your weight. What about the tall person and thin person that's supposed to be more nervous? What if they gain weight and they become a tall, heavy person? What about the short person that's supposed to be laid back? What if they lose weight and they become a short, skinny person? So you just can't go by those kinds of theories and expect that you can nail a person on the head with what you think they're like based upon their physical type. It does not work. Tests before they are given have to go through a lot of research, and the research checks the accuracy, the validity. Do they test what they are supposed to test? Will they get similar results over a period of time? And they do these tests on everything. They do a lot of research on all kinds of tests, and they usually don't let things out in the public until they've been well tested, well researched, so you know what you're getting into and you know what the test is testing, and if it's testing what it's supposed to test, and if it's a valid instrument for testing. Now, there is another group of theories that I do subscribe to, and that's the theory which talks about the type A, type B, type C personalities. That's been well documented, that's been researched. The type A, driven to do more and more, driven to be active, driven to be involved, driven to be creative. Or the type B that's more laid back, more relaxed, and sometimes more creative than the type A because they're not constantly driven. These things have been well documented, and I can subscribe to that. But the personality types that's based on body type, I do not subscribe to that. Well, I'm going to close it off here so we can get into more talk next time, and I'll be dealing with self-concept issues then. And then after that, we will be going into the various emotions, and we'll be going into disappointment, because I think a lot of our emotions are based upon our own personal disappointments in what life has handed us, and disappointments even in ourselves. So we're going to be branching out and doing some of that, then getting to the emotions themselves. So I will close it here, and I hope you're learning from this, and please join me next time.